left and right hemisphere, and what are they doing? How does it contribute towards your perception in this world? And this is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. We're going to be breaking down the two hemispheres of the brain and how they function in your life. So, first, we have the left hemisphere. This is the logical hemisphere. This is the analytical, divided, scientific, or verbal hemisphere. The right hemisphere is creative, wholeness, artistic, symbolic, and metaphorical. The right hemisphere does with non-verbal things. It produces a holistic perception. It is more to do with creativity. Because what you must understand is that we are not in the external world. The world is produced by our brain. We see with our brain. Our eyes are a part of the brain. What we touch is the brain's interpretation of electrical signals on the nervous system. What we smell is the brain's interpretation of smell through the nose. What you taste is your brain's interpretation of chemical reactions on your taste buds. So, what you are experiencing is the brain. The brain is a computer creating a simulation. And you have two hemispheres which breaks down this reality. So essentially, the brain is the perception creator. It creates perception. So if the brain is creating this, who is the one experiencing the brain? Well, that is you, the consciousness, the mind, the all-seeing eye. You are the all-seeing eye experiencing the brain, the observer behind the brain, behind reality, behind the emotions. So if you're walking through a woods, this left brain sees individual trees. The right brain sees the whole woods. It sees the biome. It sees the bigger picture. So when you are walking through this woods, the right brain picks up a holistic perception of reality. It creates the woods as one unified woods. The left brain's job is to break this down and analyze it so that we can see individual things. And this is also necessary for humans to have the ability to break things down and manipulate things in this world. So without this left hemisphere, we could not manipulate things and break things down. So this right hemisphere is important because it sees the whole woods. It sees humanity as one unified consciousness. However, the left hemisphere sees individual egos. So the left hemisphere is the place of the ego because it only understands it sees the world very divided. Okay. So, for example, here's another example of the left and right hemisphere. If someone pulls out in front of you in traffic, your left brain's going to start going crazy and analyzing them, calling them names. The right hemisphere, however, sees the bigger picture. Maybe he didn't see you. Maybe it's just a mistake. Maybe he's in a rush. You see how the two brains are very different. They do the same thing, but they function in different ways. The right hemisphere is feminine, the left hemisphere is masculine. So, like I said, this person pulls out in front of you. You start to think with the left. If you start to perceive that in the left brain, you're going to start analyzing them. You're going to start going crazy and calling them names because you're analyzing it. You're not seeing the bigger picture behind it. You're not seeing it from his perspective. So, there is a crossover. So, the left hemisphere of the brain controls the right side of the body, the right ear, the right uh, eye. Everything to do with the right side of the body is connected to the left hemisphere, and the right hemisphere controls everything on the left side of the body, including your eyes, your arms, your legs. So everything is crossed over, and even your visual field is crossed over. So this is your visual field, as you can see here, and even the left side of your visual field goes to the right brain. There's a crossover. No one really knows. There's not really a reason for this. However, this is how the human body is designed. As we all know, the human body is the most advanced piece of technology on the face of the earth. They cannot replicate the human body. And they tell you it has no creator. This is crazy. People are that brainwashed, they can't even understand that their body is the most advanced piece of technology. Your body is so advanced The computers that you use are mimicked of the body. Everything they create is mimicking nature, but they don't show you how intelligent nature is because they don't want you to understand you're in an intelligent design. So, anyways, let's get back on track. There is a crossover in the brain, and this is why they teach you to write with your right hand. And I was speaking to someone who's in a nunnery, or whatever you want to call it. They were a nun, or they knew someone who was who was a nun, and they forced these people, these nuns, to write with their right hand. You had to write with your right hand. This is why, I'd say at least 70% of the world or 80% is right-handed and right-legged, because they taught us this to activate the left hemisphere more because of this crossover that happens in the body. So when we are using this right side more, we are using that left hemisphere more. Why? Why are they doing this? Well, they also called it writing. Writing is a spell to cast a spell on you to use that right side of the body so that you use this left hemisphere because they want you to see the world as a divided perception. They don't want you using the right hemisphere, using that left side of the body to activate the right hemisphere to see the bigger picture and see how everything is all one and everything is created. This left hemisphere domination keeps you from seeing the connections between everything because that left hemisphere analyzes, it breaks things down. So when we are left hemisphere dominated by using the right side of the body, we are essentially seeing everything as divided. And this is why so many people will not understand my work because my work connects dots and connects fields of knowledge uh, and makes you see the bigger picture. So people who are left hemisphere dominated will see my work and think this guy's crazy. But everything, it's all about activating that right hemisphere. So they called it writing because every word you say is molding your mind in some sort of way. The things you see is molding your mind. Everything you take in through the five senses is molding your mind. And language is a massive spell, especially the English language. They called it writing so that you use that right side. It's a spell because your subconscious mind picks up everything you say. And 90% of your daily basis behavior and thought patterns is produced by these subconscious programs within the subconscious mind. Essentially, your conscious mind is only the 10% of you. The conscious mind is just what you're aware of, what you're wearing, how you're feeling, what you're thinking. That's your conscious mind. The subconscious mind is controlling every system in your body. It's telling your heart to beat without you being conscious of it. So essentially, this is what they're programming. They're programming this system in the back of the mind, which is controlling everything through the words. And this is what spells are, because it's all about creating perception in the subconscious. So they want you to use that right side more. I truly believe the ancients, they were balanced. They used the left and the right side of the body. They didn't have a stronger side because they understood this science of the body and how the body works. So this is actually called phonetics. It's not etymology. Etymology is the study of root words. Phonetics is the study of how words sound similar. The way words are spoken. So phonetics, phone is why we call them a phone because you speak into a phone. So this is write and writing to use that right side to activate the left hemisphere more. So your hands are a manifestation of your brain. The left hand is the right brain, the right hand is the left brain. And as a child, we were always taught that when you place your hands together like this is the size of your brain, which is true because your hands are a part of your brain. They're an extension of your brain. Every part of your body other than your brain is an extension of the brain. Everything's working and feeding back information to the brain because you're experiencing the brain. So another trick that you can do or another exercise is looking in the mirror and closing one eye at a time. If you close your right eye, if you take your top off, for example, you'll analyze your body if you close your right eye because you're using that left hemisphere. Sorry, other way around. If you look at yourself through your right eye, you'll use that left hemisphere, which will analyze yourself. You'll see individual body parts. If you close the right eye and use the left eye, you'll see your body as a whole. You won't really analyze it. This is how you can analyze yourself using these two hemispheres. So this whole system is created to keep you thinking logically and to restrict you from creating and restrict you from understanding symbolism, allegories, metaphors, and teamwork. They want you stuck in a logical way of thinking and a logical way of seeing the world. This is why when you go to school, you are told exactly what to do. You're told to think this way and no other way. You're told to do orders, do this. It's a very left brained system because if we all started to open up this right hemisphere, we'd all see, wow, everything is all one, everything's all connected. And this is what my work is doing. I'm showing you everything is one. The physical world is an illusion of duality, but everything comes from the one source, the one mind. The universe is a giant mind. I am mind, you express mind. We all possess mind. Behind the physical body is the same mind consciousness. And we are all expressions and fractals of this infinite consciousness called mind. And this is what they don't want us to figure out is that we are all just one consciousness expressed. It's an infinite consciousness. It's even in the squirrel, it's in the dog. All of these different animals, they're just different bodies, but behind the bodies is the same consciousness, which is mind. That's what the pineal gland is. The pineal gland is not the mind and it's not the third eye. The third eye is your mind. If you have a closed third eye, it just means you have a closed mind. If you have an open third eye, it just means your mind has expanded from beyond physical things through astral projection and mystical experiences. This is how you gain an open third eye. It's just an open mind. A mind that has astral traveled, that has explored the realities within the mind. So everything they do is to keep us in a divided state. Divide and conquer, right? That's their motto. All to keep you thinking how everything is divided. Everything they've done is division. Postcodes, countries, everything is divided. Like football teams and all this stuff. It's also a natural process when you grow up, because as you grow up, your brain is constantly analyzing the world. So this is sort of a natural process of how you become more left hemisphere dominated, because your brain is always analyzing. And unless something awakens you, you can awaken that right hemisphere where you can start to see the bigger picture. The even the music, all tuned to 440 hertz, shuts down the right hemisphere of the brain. 440 hertz, Spotify, Apple Music, the radio. Every time you turn on the radio, it's tuned to 440 hertz. This was specifically tuned. It never used to be tuned to this. It was in the 1950s. It was changed. The standard music tuning was changed to 440 hertz because it shuts down that right hemisphere of the brain. They don't want you thinking, seeing the world in this way and perceiving things as one. I'm going to show you. It tells you this in the Bible. Cast the net onto the right hand side of the boat and you will find the fish. What was Jesus saying? You see, people read the Bible and they don't understand it. If the Bible is not talking about you, then it has no meaning. The Bible, everything you read in the Bible is about you and how it can better your life. It occurs to you. So if Jesus says, cast the net onto the right hand side of the boat, this is an allegory. The boat is your body. Cast the net. It's the awareness, the perception onto the right hemisphere of the brain, and you will find the fish. What's fish? What do fish do? They swim deep in the ocean. It represents the knowledge, deep knowledge. Cast the net onto the right hand side of the boat, and you will find fish. You will find the wisdom. You will gain understanding when you cast that your awareness into that right hemisphere. You will see that I am you and you are me. We are all one consciousness. You will see everything. You'll see that the trees are the same patterns as the nerves in your body. You'll see everything is connected. Everything is a fractal of the one infinite consciousness. And how many fish did they catch? 153. That adds up to 9. This is now numerology. The Bible's filled with numerology. Adds up to 9. What's 9? Human consciousness. It represents consciousness. You're in the womb for 9 months. Feminine, feminine. It's all about consciousness. And then Revelation 14. And I looked, and behold, the Lamb standing on Mount Zion. That's the spine, it's the mountain. With him, 144,000. 144 adds up to 9. It represents consciousness on top of the spine. You see? And he had his name on the name of his father written on the forehead. What's the father? The higher mind, the higher consciousness within you. Where is that? In the forehead, the pineal gland. The pineal gland is the radio receiver for the higher consciousness. Because every body part of the body has consciousness. Your heart has consciousness. Your gut has consciousness. You are thinking with these different consciousnesses. You think with the gut. You think with your penis. You are thinking with all these consciousness. And it's about raising your consciousness to the higher consciousness, which is the father, the mind in the head. Don't think with the lower parts of the body because that is your animal nature. Think with the higher parts of the body. It's all representing consciousness. How to activate the right hemisphere of the brain? Well, it's all to do with non-verbal things. So music will activate the right hemisphere. Make sure it's tuned to the right frequency though, 432 hertz, 528 hertz. Any frequency that adds up to 3, 6, or 9 is good for you. Meditation, turning off the thoughts, and you raise yourself to the higher brain. Symbolism. Symbolism is all right hemisphered. Reading between lines, metaphors, determining the Bible. It's all right hemisphered. Seeing the bigger picture. It's reading between the lines. So tithing in the Bible. These people in the churches are giving 10% of their money to the church. It's nothing but a scam. What these people have done is they have externalized the Bible. They have taken the Bible and literalized it so that they can make a business out of it. So what they're doing is a tenth of the produce of what it says in the Bible, a tenth of the produce of the land, whether grain or fruit, is the Lord's and is holy. So what's that saying? The tenth of it's basically saying give the 10% to the Lord, to God. What does that mean? Well, what's the land and the fruit? This represents physical things, the physical things that you have. The tenth of the physical things that you have. What's that? That's your ego. All the physical things that you have is all to do with your ego. That's the lower self. The ego, what is the ego? It's the mind's perception of the physical self. You had no ego when you were a child. Okay, when you were a child, you had no ego. As you grew older, you created the ego. But the ego is the full self. It's the echo. Ego, echo. It's the echo of the full self. So it's saying give the ego over. Take away the animal self. In that left hemisphere, that's all to do with the left hemisphere. That left hemisphere sees the ego. It sees individuality. It's divided. So it's saying give that 10%. Give that 10% of you over to the right hemisphere. The 90%. The 90% of you is in that right hemisphere. The higher self. Now, I'm not saying the left hemisphere is bad. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. But it sees it sees things divided. It's like I said, the left, the hands are manifestations of the brain. So when these Christians are praying, they're putting their hands together. What are they doing? They're syncing the brain hemispheres. What you're doing, because everything's an extension of your brain. So if you put your hands together, you're putting the two hemispheres together. And what's happening when you place the hands together? All the electricity in the body is now running in a circuit. Once you connect these two hands, the electrical energy is now running in a circuit, and energy can move around the body quicker and more efficiently. So when you pray, when these people are praying, they don't realize that they're engaging in ancient forms of meditation, of balancing the two hemispheres. So now we're talking about balancing the hemispheres, not the right hemisphere. This is what Israel is. Look at the symbol for Israel, the up triangle and the downward triangle. What's that? The up triangle represents male. The downward triangle represents female. Okay? This is talking about the brains. Israel is Ra, Isis, which is female, the Egyptian god, Ra, El. El means God. Electricity. That's the force of the physical world. It's the force that runs this world, electricity. It's the force of God. El, consciousness. It means God. Is Ra, El. Isis, Ra, and El. It's the two hemispheres of the brain, the holy land of Israel. It's the holy land, it's the brain. Once these two hemispheres are synced, this is how you unlock your consciousness. This is the easiest way of astral projecting. Hemisphering, I forgot the word for it. Hemisphere syncretization, something like that. It's about syncing the hemispheres. This is how you unlock your consciousness. Once the brain is running as one electrical system, this is how you balance the two masculine and male opposing energies. Once these opposing energies are no longer in war with each other, the brain, they come together to work as one. You unlock your consciousness. You are born again. What happens when a male and female have sex? It creates a new child. It becomes one. You are born again. Once the two hemispheres of the brain, you are born again. You can then have an out of body experiences. So this is why the symbol of the Holy Land, Israel, is the up and down triangle back combined together, because it represents unification of the male and female, unification of the hemispheres. You're born again. You unlock consciousness, and you can get this for free. It's called the Gateway Tapes on my website. uh, Basically, it's a audio track from the government, and they did this in the Gateway Experience. It's a CIA document, and what they do is there are different forms of meditations you go through. I think there's about 5 waves of meditations you do, half an hour each one, and it will teach you. It will sync your hemisphere, because what does it do? They understood that playing one frequency into one ear and another frequency into the other, they understood that the right ear is connected to the left hemisphere, the left ear is connected to the right hemisphere. So when you play 2 different frequencies into both ears, what happens? The brain picks this up, the 2 hemispheres of the brain picks this up, and it syncs it. It syncs these 2 hemispheres, these 2 frequencies together. So now the brain is working as one to sync this frequency. So this is how you can sync your hemispheres through listening to these frequencies. Okay, you can get them for free and do the meditations yourself. This will definitely help you. This is an easy way to astral project. So it's all about syncing the hemisphere and seeing reality from a unified perception. We should all aim to get out of that left hemisphere. I'm not saying don't use it, but we should now start to see we should not start to read between the lines of the Bible, read between the lines of the symbolism they're showing, study symbolism, study allegories and myths. What are they trying to tell us through these allegories? And this is how we start seeing things in a better way. Once we understand that we are all microcosms of an infinite consciousness, we can all come to one, because love is the unifying force of this infinite consciousness. We are all divided. We are all disconnected from our hearts. Once we all connect with our hearts and see that everything is one, we can all start to love and come together as one. Because love is the unifying force of consciousness.